of this faces either Mason or Moeller Saturday evening at Princeton High School in what should be a great matchup. St. X will come to into this one 14-5 on the year, fresh off their win against the Princeton Vikings in the first round. Walnut Hills entering 13-3 on the year, hosting this one as the 3 seed, while the Bombers come in as the 4 seed. Both teams are out on the court. We'll take a look at the host, the Walnut Hills Eagles, first. In the front, we are going to have number 15, Barrett Wade, number 4 on the court, or pardon me, number 14, Evan Tombragle, number 9, Parker Moyer, and their libero in dark blue will be number 2, Miles DiNardo. In the back will be number 11, Griffin Wheatley. Taking the serve here, number 8, Noah Smith-Trondle. It's going to be Smith-Trondle to take the serve here as we're underway here from Walnut Hills High School. OHS BVA regional semifinal action here from the east side of town. And the first point will go to St. X, fresh off the net violation called there. Back to serve for St. X will be Mike Harmeyer. Joining Harmeyer on the court in the white top will be Nick Stewart. Also in the all blue, similar to Harmeyer, will be Cal Tressler, Reed Terrell, Bentley Meyer, and Brady Jones. Jones did not play in this matchup on April 4th when these two teams met, as he was out with an injury. His first appearance back here on ESPX was a big game against the Moeller Crusaders, as we see Walnut Hills pick up their first point of the game, courtesy of a net violation by Reed Terrell.
That was a great first dig there by Mikey Harmer, and something he's worked on all season long, and it's going to play a big factor in tonight's game.
Here's Harmeyer yet again with the set. Meyer from the back row sends it back to the Eagles. Here comes Griffin Wheatley to bump it up. A little nifty move at the net. Harmeyer sends it right to Meyer, but does it go out of play? Yes, indeed, but it looks like there might have been a violation. Nonetheless, Walnut Hills gets the point. So back to serve. Here's Evan Tombragle. Have yet to see a clean point in this one. It's been all violations since, as Tressler pushes it back towards Walnut Hills. Up by Smith-Trondle. Wheatley rises up. Stewart gets a dig as this one goes high into the rafters. Tressler backs it down, sends it back. It is important to note that the lines here at Walnut Hills are very close, and it's very hard to see. It's in the mustard yellow color, as we see Griffin Wheatley, I believe, pick up his first kill of the day.
And it's been a hard time so far for St. X to get in system. A lot of the third balls coming from Walnut Hills are deep or they're little dinks. And they've not given time for St. X to get a clean attack set up. And
with that said, Brady Jones will get his first kill of the day. First clean point for St. X. Once again, the assist going to Mike Harmeyer, who has led the team in assists, around 480 this year, averaging 8.1 assists per set, according to Max Preps. Meanwhile, here's Bentley Meyer with the serve, sending it back to Walnut Hills. Electric atmosphere from the east side of town, and it looks like the point goes to St. X. Shot carries long there by the Eagles. I believe it was Tombragle there off the pipe doing so. So once again, here's Meyer. Top serve for him. Does a little jump top too. Up by Smith-Trondle, out to Wheatley, blocked by Terrell. Did hit the antenna too, as the point goes to Walnut Hills.
And that's something we have to watch from that right side position there. They're going to have to adjust their block. It's not always going to be a kill every single time. Wheatley's going to have to adjust with those tips. They're going to have to make sure that every time they go to the net, their hands are pressing in the court. That's going to be imperative if they want to combat those tips and the attacks.
It's Harmeyer now to Tressler, pushes it back to the corner. Good save there by Tombragle. At the net, it's Wheatley who breaks Terrell's block alongside Jones, as another point goes to Walnut Hills. They're up 5 serving 3 early in this first set. Once again, back to serve Miles DiNardo, who wore the libero shirt for a while in the game against St. X. Aiden Lamoko has also been a friendly option there at DS this year, as Terrell bats it down, fresh off the net. Call it Lady Luck, call it skill. St. X cuts it now to 1.
That was a great job by Terrell there to adjust to a set that was a little bit off from that one ball he wanted, and to get around there by Wheatley.
So here's Jones to take the serve. Jones, the only sophomore on the St. X side, on a squad that has featured 8 juniors and 5 seniors. Meanwhile, senior for Walnut Hills, Samir Weldon, gets his first kill of the day. Or pardon me, Weldon, a junior on Walnut Hills' side, gets his first kill of the day. Change made. Now off will be Barrett Wade. Taking the serve here, Aiden Lamoco, fresh off, checking in for the Eagles. Meanwhile, Nick Feldkamp throws it down there for his first kill of the day.
That was a perfect succession there for the St. X offense. Perfect pass, perfect set, perfect hit. That's the kind of talent. Remember, I said it all season long. You have Terrell, Tressler, Feldkamp, Bottmeyer. They can attack you from so many different directions. They just got to get the clean pass, and St. X will be rolling offensively.
Meanwhile, Griffin Wheatley gets a deflection there with Harmeyer and Feldkamp trying to double up the block as Wheatley gets his second kill of the day. When Wheatley was at St. X on April 4th, he logged 14 kills, might have done more as he led the team and also led the players in total, Walnut Hills and St. X, in kills that day. Speaking of Wheatley, here he is, back to serve. It's Stewart, great dig there off the reception. Harmeyer out to Tressler from the back. Boy, have we seen a lot of him today. As Smith Trondle tries to use the setter's dump, St. X is calling for a net violation. Nonetheless, Evan Tombrero knocks it down. St. X is livid with the call as Walnut Hills grows its lead to 3.
Now that was a very questionable call. That ball, that tip went directly in the net. There was absolutely no hand contact. Regardless, the Bombers are going to have to move on from that call and not let that define the game.
So here's Wheatley again, taken by Charlie Krebs, fresh off checking in, out to Tressler again, got the deflection. Who does it go to? There was a net violation from both sides, and the point goes to Walnut. Another very questionable call as it goes to Walnut Hills, and it looks like Noah Smith Trondle, the Eagles setter, is down. And while he's getting some treatment, we will take a break here on ESPX. More OHS BVA regional semifinal action coming up right after this. Welcome back here to Walnut Hills High School, where the Eagles setter Noah Smith Trondle has just received some treatment. It looks like he will hobble back to the bench. Checking in for him will be number 12, Jacob Giletto. I noted at the top of the show about Griffin Wheatley and Evan Tombrego being on the OHS BVA's squads for this year as the all-team region. Smith Trondle was on the second team earlier this year, and a group full of setters too. Mike Harmeyer also on that second team in the OHS BVA D1 South region. Nonetheless, back to the action. Griffin Wheatley to take the serve. 9 serving 5, the Eagles lead. It's taken by Krebs, now to Harmeyer, out to Tressler. Blocked there, still with St. X, as Stewart lays it up on a platter for Tressler again, as the dig is there by Wheatley. And a little miscommunication there. Aiden Lamoco and Griffin Wheatley both in the area, unable to decide who takes the bump, and St. X gets a lucky point.
That was a great heads-up play there by Nick Stewart to be right there covering that block and giving Tressler that second opportunity. I think St. X is going to have to be very scrappy on defense, so a lot Walnut Hills putting over is loose hits.
Cal Tressler to take the serve. This one taken there out on the outside, saved there by Lamoco as Tombrego sends it back to the Bombers. Here's Harmeyer to Meyer. Boom, boom! First one of the day, and it's now a 2-point game.
And here, just like typical, Ben Meyer was absolutely floating when he just came down hard on that ball. Looks reminiscent of that Fenwick game where there was no block on him. If he can remain unopposed or move quick enough, the Walnut Hills can't get set, he's going to be unstoppable tonight.
So here's Kyle Tressler once again, back to serve. Actually leads the team in aces, doesn't get one there. Samir Weldon sends it back to St. X. Here's Harmeyer, up again for Meyer, sends it back, but DiNardo controls it. Up here by Lamoco, Wheatley off the pipe, saved there by Krebs. Back to St. X, it's Tressler with the pipe, gets a deflection. 1-point game here early in this first set.
And we're starting to see that dynamic offensive versatility for St. X. They can attack you in the front and the back. If they continue to wear out the Walnut Hills front row like this, they'll start running away offensively.
Boy, I tell you, the ghost of Joe Kirby, the electrician, is running through the St. X side right now, especially these fans, including the student section right in front of us, as Weldon sends this too long. No deflection. Tie game here as the Bombers find themselves on a 4-0 run. Here's Tressler once again, this to give the Bombers the lead, and it goes in the net. First service error of the night for the Bombers as the Walnut Hills retains the lead.
And controlling those service errors is going to be key tonight. St. X is going to have to control what they can control and let the runs progress naturally. If you keep turning the ball over to Walnut Hills, they will continue to claw.
It's Harmeyer out to Meyer again. Boy, can he jump high as Stewart saves it almost like Scott Sterling-esque. Nonetheless, it's back to the Eagles and Tom Bregel who sends it back. Harmeyer runs to get it from the back. Tressler just bumps it over. Wheatley from his center back position controls it there as Tom Bregel pips it up. And it looks like it was on the other side of the antenna, and the officials poll. Tie game here, 10 serving 10. Change made for St. X. Nick Feldkamp is off. Brady Jones is now in. Nick Stewart now to take the serve, as you can hear the Stew chants raining down here from the St. X student section. Nonetheless, Tom Bregel gets the kill there off a failed block there by Jones and Harmeyer.
Despite the ball dropping, that was a very good block set up there by Brady Jones and Mikey Harmeyer. They were perfectly in position. They just had to come down and pip that one block up. But they have to keep that timing up all night and lock down that right side.
Jonah Swift takes the serve here. The big DS for the side. Meanwhile, Bentley Meyer logs the kill there and leaving Jonah Swift in no man's land. Once again, we're back to a tie game.
I have yet to see a proper response there for Ben Meyer. He just moves too quickly and does not give the Walnut block any time to set up. And he's just over their heads and really puts their back row at a severe disadvantage.
Here's Mike Harmeyer now to take the serve. Opted for a signature float serve out to DiNardo. Up here by Lamoco, filling in for Smith Trondle, who picked up an injury early in this one. And make it three. Ben Meyer is on a roll right now.
He is just virtually unstoppable, and it's the same thing I've been saying. He's above the block, and he just goes too quick. The blockers can only stay in the air for so long, and Ben Meyer just his way of staying so high, he can hit that ball straight down.
For the first time today, St. X has a lead, and they'll build on it here as Brady Jones knocks it down for his first block of the day. 13, serving 11, St. X leads. It was sure a close one from the Burning Gymnasium when those teams faced off. Especially later on, the Bombers lost the third set 25-13, and then the fourth one 28-16. I believe they lost the first one 25-22 as Walnut Hills answers with a kill of their own. Tom Bregel with his second of the day.
Despite that kill leaking through, we have a very lethal St. X front row with Brady Jones, Reed Tyrrell, and Ben Meyer. All three of those guys can form an impenetrable wall, especially Reed Tyrrell, who has the innate ability to one-on-one any hitter he faces.
Out to Terrell on the left side, and he sent this a little too long. Although the yellow stripes are hard to see, we could even see it from here that it carried long. Back to a tie game. So here's Tom Bregel. Back to serve yet again. It's Stewart who has to up it once again as Tressler pips it back. And it's another miscue from the back. This time Jonah Swift, who kept Bentley Meyer and the outsides of St. X in a headlock last time, lets it go right in the middle. Mistakes hurting Walnut Hills so far as the Bombers lead 14, serving 13.
And that's an perfect example of changing the pace. When you are attacking, they have Ben Meyer and Reed Tyrrell coming up, flinging full swing. Those little sets can really throw them off.
Here's Meyer. Did he get the ace? No, a little too long.
You gotta wonder, are they having a tough time seeing the line? Maybe they're just screwing up their tosses and caught them hit too hard. Definitely something you gotta think about in this game.
Here's DiNardo, the libero, back to serve, opts for his float, once again taken by Tressler. Harmeyer goes back to Tressler, over, and back to the Eagles. Here's Lamoco serving it up here as Wheatley just has to bump it. Another miscommunication there, this time between Wheatley and Tom Bragle. As Jones knocks it down, St. X retakes the lead.
So far, St. X has been relatively unblocked on the outside and at the middle position. There really hasn't been a consistent block, and what St. X needs to do is just continue to ramp up the defensive ball. If they can keep getting themselves clean passes, they'll really start to run.
Walnut Hills thought they got it over on 3 hits, but nonetheless the whistle blows in favor of the Bombers there. So here's Brady Jones once again back to serve. Doing quite well as he's picked up a few aces here and there, especially in the B games we have seen this year. Reed Terrell's block will be deflected towards the St. X student section as Walnut Hills gets a point. 15 serving 16 is now the score. Change coming as Mike Harmeyer, stays in the game. Nick Feldkamp will now be in. Brady Jones is now off. Here's Lamoco with the serve. Harmeyer, Feldkamp, you got it. 17 serving 15.
They just have to keep feeding the middles. As long as they get those clean passes, those middles and outsides have just been tearing apart the Walnut Hills front row.
So here's Terrell once again. Goes with the top serve, vicious, but Walnut Hills keeps it up in the air. Opposite side for Wheatley, who can't bump it over. Had to play a little bully ball there with the net and his spacing as Walnut Hills finds themselves up by 3. They'll take a timeout as they're trying to right their wrong from what happened at the Burning Gymnasium this year. So we have about a minute into this timeout, and because of that, I do want to give some shout-outs. I did note that this would be our final broadcast here on ESPX for volleyball, so I do want to give some shout-outs to some longtime listeners. First off, to Zach Eberle's grandparents, John and Mary, and I heard this from Eberle's mom, that they have never missed a game here on ESPX. So shout-out to them tuning in. Congrats, John and Mary. And then also to Nick Feldkamp's grandma, Judy, watching from Indiana. We appreciate you guys tuning in to ESPX, not just tonight, but all year long, as it's been a great season. The Bombers looking for their second state title in 3 seasons as they look to return to the regional finals. Last year they went out in the regional finals to Elder, who ended up going to the state finals before losing to the Moeller Crusaders, who actually beat the Walnut Hills Eagles in their regional final. Back out on the court are the Bombers and the Eagles. We'll start off with your St. Xavier Bombers. Taking the serve here, Reed Terrell also on the court. Bentley Meyer, the libero Nick Stewart, Mike Harmeyer, Nick Feldkamp, and Kyle Tressler, as Terrell's serve will send to long, point to Walnut Hills.
Terrell just came a little bit underneath that ball, and I've seen that on a couple of his attacks as well. It's just about the timing and something that he can figure out during the game. If you come underneath the ball, you're going to generally send it long.
Update there with Noah Smith-Trondo, Walnut Hills' star setter. He was actually emotional after Walnut Hills beat St. X, at the time #1 in state at the Burning Gymnasium. He is headed to the back room to get some treatment. It will be interesting to see if he does make a return in this game. Right now the setter for Walnut Hills is Aiden Lamoco. Meanwhile, St. X's Kyle Tressler takes a serve here. Bombers up 19, serving 16 as this one goes into the rafters. Lamoco tracks it down. Tom Bragle rises up, but can't put it away. Harmeyer running towards the bench, can't save it, as the Eagles are now only down by 2.
That was a very good pickup there by Stewart. He had to just sit on it, waited for Mike Harmeyer to chase it. However, again, it just reinforces the point that you have to get the block of these Eagles. They will come firing the second you let up.
Here's Samir Weldon, who sends his serve into the net. So 20 serving 17, and Anthony, you made this point in many JV games that we've called. Whenever you have a libero or a DS taking the serve, runs can often get going. Nick Stewart, the libero, just took the serve here as Wheatley sends it back. The Bombers up by 3, have a chance to close it out. Meyer will get the kill there off the deflection. It was Parker Moyer and Jacob Giletto combining there, but unable to turn Meyer's spike into a block. 21 serving 17, back to Nick Stewart. DiNardo, Lamoco, outside for Giletto. Back to the Bombers and Tressler. Harmeyer, Jones pips it. Try to be nifty, but nonetheless, here come the Eagles. Tom Bregel the other way, gets the deflection, stops St. X's run, and especially Stewart's serve in the rotation. 21-18, the Bombers lead. Walnut Hills down by 3, taking the serve now. For them will be their DS, Jonah Swift. It's Tressler, sends it one a little wayward. Nonetheless, here's Kyle to collect it and send it back. Here's Lamoko. That was a nifty move there by Moyer, and eventually turns into a kill.
And so far in this game one, Walnut Hills has been anything but consistent at the net. There have been tipping, and even their hits have been slightly irregular. St. X has done a very good job in the serving to put them out of system, which means the hits aren't going to be your all-out kind of hits. They're going to be these little offshoots or maybe off the wrist, and that's something that the blockers at the net have to adjust.
Meyer pushes it back, Swift there with the dig. Outside now for Tom Bregel, blocked there by Jones. Harmeyer saves it, Stu pips it up, and Tressler sends it over on the third hit. Here's Lamoko, and another miscue at the net. This time it was Moyer trying to push it forward. Once again, space and net came in the way. St. X up by 3 and 3 points away from taking the first set. Change made as Charlie Krebs is off. Reed Terrell is now in, and boy, is that an interesting front. Reed Terrell alongside Brady Jones, the top 2 blockers on the St. X team, alongside Ben Meyer on the left side. Here's Stewart in the back. Now to Harmeyer, out to Terrell on the right, deflected, and it will be out of play indeed. 23 serving 19. St. X now 2 points away from taking set number 1.
Reed Terrell did an excellent job making a mid-air adjustment to get that kill.
Timeout taken by Walnut Hills, and as both teams go back into the huddle, we will take a quick break. Stick around, folks. You're watching the OHS BVA Regional Semis on ESPX. We're back here at Walnut Hills High School, where St. X is up 23, serving 19 in set number 1. Mike Harmeyer just took the serve here for a Bomber side, looking to try to get to the next round, which will be the regional finals. It looks like the block was rather deflected out of play. Point goes to Walnut.
And St. X is having just a little bit of trouble there on that right side, getting a clean touch on that ball. However, so far they've just been winning the offensive battle at the net, which is why they're ahead.
Here's Lamoko, tipped there at the net by Moyer, as it's Harmeyer, out to Meyer, blocked at the net, saved by Stu. Harmeyer again, Jones sends it back, still up in the air is the ball, but it looks like the point will go to St. X. And the call will be a double hit there on the setter.
And St. X has been responding so quickly on offense. It seems the second they get a kill, if it's blocked or sent back over, they're already lining up another attack, and it's just throwing off Walnut.
Meyer there with the serve. Here's Lamoko to set. Tom Bregel can't send it, or Moyer rather, can't send it back. St. X takes the first set 25-20, and just like that, it might be deja vu, or rather revenge, all over again. We have a 3-minute break here from Walnut Hills High School, and then we'll be back for the second set in this OHS BVA regional semifinal matchup. Stick around, folks. You're watching St. Xavier Volleyball on ESPX. Welcome back to Varsity Gym here at Walnut Hills High School, where the St. Xavier Bombers and the Walnut Hills Eagles are still in the huddle. The Bombers currently breaking that huddle as they go out back on the court for set number 2 here in this OHS BVA regional semifinal. If you're just joining us, the Bombers took set 1 25-20, looking to double their lead. I'm Mahir Hassan, joined by Anthony France and our executive producer and cameraman, Zach Waddell. Glad that you could join us here on this Wednesday evening for ESPX's final volleyball broadcast of the season. And for Anthony and I, since we are both seniors, this will be our final ESPX broadcast for volleyball. From here on out, you can head for the regional finals and for the state tournament up at Pickerington Central. You can tune in to ESP Media and the OHS BVA network for all of the action. You can find that link on ohioboysvolleyball.com, and also if you follow ESP Media on Twitter. So back out on the court, it's St. X to take the serve here. Nick Stewart to do the honors. Joining Stewart, the libero on the court, is Kyle Tressler, Charlie Krebs, Brady Jones, Ben Meyer, and Mikey Harmeyer as we're back underway here from Walnut Hills. Sending it back, here's Evan Tombragel. Great dig there by Tressler, who hasn't seen much digs, but nonetheless, great work there as Lomoko sends it back. And Meyer, knocks it down. 5th kill of the day as St. X this time gets point number 1.
And what's important to know by that opening play there was Walnut Hills was not able to get any clean touches on the ball. They were all tips or almost throws at that point. And that's going to force St. X to adjust the net. But not everything that's going to come over is going to be an attack, and they have to be ready for a short tip in no man's land.
Harmeyer used the setter's dump but can't log the kill as Lomoko, the setter for Walnut Hills, sends it back. Meanwhile, here's Meyer again, and boy oh boy have we got another vroom vroom on our hand.
Ben Myers just continuing to be unopposed, and he's just finding the gaps in the defense. Not only is he circumventing the block, he's hitting massive holes in the defense. That time, he took some power off the ball, so that Walnut Hills' back row had typically been lining up very deep on the court. And he saw that wide open gap and just did a nice almost roll shot into the empty zone.
And it looks like we have another Walnut Hill Eagle who might be shaken up. This time, Parker Moyer, the junior, outside. If you're just joining us, Noah Smith-Trondle, the starting setter for Walnut Hills, was taken out earlier in this one with an injury. He has not returned back from the treatment room as he was taken back there around the middle of this first set. Moyer will head out and hobble towards the bench, but it looks like he will stay in for now after a quick conversation there with head coach Nick Richards. Meanwhile, head coach Bill Ferris and the St. Xavier Bombers will take the serve here, as it appears Moyer will stay in the game off a little twist there. He was pointing towards his ACL and ankle area on his left foot. Nonetheless, we're back underway here as Griffin Wheatley sends it down, but sends it out of play as well. So once again, the Bombers get all 3 points to start off. And as I mentioned earlier, Anthony, boy oh boy, is Nick Stewart playing a big role right now.
He's coming in at a libero in a very high-stakes game. Chris Hart, he's been serving consistently and playing his heart out on defense.
So here he is again in play as DiNardo gets it up to Lomoko. Here's Wheatley again playing at center back, which is rather interesting knowing that he played on the left forward side a lot. Meanwhile, the left forward, Evan Tombragel, will log Walnut Hills' first point of the day.
And so far, Walnut's only area of success has been on their left side. That seems to be the only place they can find a hole in the block when they're in system.
And at the same time, Anthony, that was their biggest thing when they played at St. X last time, as Lomoko's serve will go well out of play. Point goes back to St. X, but going back to my point, that was 1 point of error, especially with Mike Harmeyer and Nick Feldkamp still trying to get those blocks going. And the other thing was the back row was just a hot mess that day. Boy, oh boy, as Nick Stewart and especially Kyle Tressler come up big there in the back. Meanwhile, Tombragel sends it. Speaking of Stewart, there he is with the dig. Meyer turns it the other way. Lomoko can't send it back to the Bombers as the St. X is now up 5-1.
Look, it's just this simple. If you can't get a block on Ben Meyer, you're putting your back row or anyone in the 10-foot line at a serious disadvantage. They can only hope to contain that attack. There's no way they can cleanly pass it. Walnut Hills has to get a block, or St. X is just going to keep on trucking.
Running into the net called there on Walnut Hills as the Bombers continue to truck up 6-1 When these two faced off at the Burning Gym, the Bombers lost the third set 25-14 as we see Tom Bragle go the other way and log his second kill of the set and Walnut Hills' second kill of the set as well.
Some odd miscommunication there on the outside of St. X. The block, it looked like it was supposed to be a double block there, was not set up, and Ben Meyer didn't have someone to go up with, which left that hole open.
Here's Tressler, Harmeyer, now to Meyer on the right, deflected there by Moyer. DiNardo tried to make a run, but nobody was there to meet him and send it over. 7 serving 2, and St. X now has an opening. Bombers came into this one number 4 in state, number 42 nationally, especially trying to end up getting that state title as a number 4 seed. Any inspiration for those watching at home, knowing that a number 4 seed may not be the best as Meyer's spike is sent long there. The Bengals were the number 4 seed, ended up in the Super Bowl. The team they lost to in the Super Bowl, the Los Angeles Rams, who were also a 4 seed. Change made for Walnut Hills as Samir Weldon is now in, as it's now going to be DiNardo taking the serve here for Walnut Hills. Harmeyer upset to Tressler, knocks it down with justice.
And Tressler is just another one of those guys who's been tormenting that outside position there for Walnut Hills. They cannot get a block on seemingly anyone out there. There was a couple of times they got a touch in the first game, but so far, St. X can just do whatever they want at the net.
Here's Lamoco, now to Weldon, back with the Bombers. Here's Tressler, now to Meyer off the pipe, breaks the 3-man wall. Nonetheless, Walnut Hills keeps it up. The 2-man wall for St. X sends it back to Bean Feldkamp and Terrell as Jones try to use a wrist shot, but can't keep it in play.
And again, we see that coming from the Bombers' right side. They just have not been able, the same way Walnut really can't block the outside or the middle, the Bombers can't lock down that right side.
Change made as Jonas Swift is now in the game. Checking out will be Barrett Wade. Joining Swift on the court will be Evan Tombragle, Miles DiNardo, the libero, Samir Weldon, Aiden Lamoco, and Griffin Wheatley, who just took the bump there. Here's Wheatley on the outside. Stewart just sends it back. Wheatley can't put it away. Stewart serves it on a platter here for Tressler. Is it in play? No, just out as the Walnut Hills student section claps with approval.
And Tressler just found himself again being too underneath that ball. Sometimes the St. X again is a little bit out of system like they were in the beginning of game 1. Those sets are not going to be on target and the hitters are going to have to adjust.
Harmeyer, Feldkamp, one ball, no problem.
And that, folks, is a case where you have a complete, perfect offensive motion. Pass, set, and just a straight down kill, again unopposed, as Nick Feldkamp definitely got a big boost on that one.
Third kill of the day for Nick Feldkamp, who also logged himself on the OHS BVA total in general on the team. Meyer, as I noted earlier, got on the first team as Krebs has a little trouble there.
And there it looks like, was it Wheatley or Tombragle, whoever it was on the right side came down and tried a very slow line shot, which I just think threw off Krebs right there.
Feldkamp an honorable mention there on the OHS BVA side. Meanwhile, Griffin Wheatley, who picked up the first team, sends it back to the Bombers, who are up by 3. Tressler sends it back, and you can make the lead to 4. Kyle Tressler with his third kill of the day.
Another important thing to note is that Walnut has generally been attacking with tips. If your only option is tips, you're generally something is wrong. Tips can be cheeky and work in rare occasions, but if they're your entire offense, you won't be able to really score many points.
Lamoco in the back now to Tombragle, looking for his 6th of the day, but he's not going to get it there. Now here's Tressler back to serve. Grazed off the net, taken by Wheatley. Out to Lamoco, back to Wheatley, out of play. And we can see it here even with the mustard yellow lines.
And what's really been going on is just all game long. Walnut Hills has yet to be really consistently in system. Whether it's the serves or the offense of St. X, they've not been able to get clean sets, and Wheatley's having to chase the ball, and that really lends itself to coming underneath it.
Kyle Tressler picks up the ace, the first for St. X today, as Walnut Hills is forced to take a timeout. 13 serving 6 The Bombers lead, and boy, Anthony, you talk about the momentum. You and I talked during the break that it was all about this net play. The Bombers are controlling the pace. They're controlling the momentum. They're doing it for sure here.
It's just been unstoppable, really. Besides those little blips on the right side blocks, Sanex is having their way at the net, and that's just been crucial. Like I said earlier, Walnut Hills is generally just tipping or having to rely on wild back row pipe attacks. There's no consistency in the Walnut offense, but at Sanex, they're even making the wildest passes a gentle attack from the back row. They're slowing things down and then picking things right back up. They give their hitters time to adjust, transition off the net, and get a full approach. As long as St. X maintains the initiative, this game is going to continue to be a runaway.
Update for Walnut Hills, their starting setter Noah Smith-Trondle is back on the bench after getting some treatment. Taking the serve once again, Kyle Tressler fresh off the ace, joining him on the court, Nick Stewart, Charlie Krebs, Mike Harmeyer, Nick Feldkamp, and Bentley Meyer. So here's Tressler. Lets that go with ease as the ref gives a thumbs up in approval. As you noted, Anthony, many times, you can let that one go and it won't be a point for the other team. However, he has to make this one here, and indeed he does, but he sends that to the other side of the gym as Walnut Hills gets the first point out of the break.
Serving is such a mental game. I remember sometimes when I would serve, I'd just go up and say, something's wrong, and I'd miss it. It's very important to recognize when you need to let that ball drop. If something is wrong, it's a lot better to just let it drop than to risk losing a point.
So here's Samir Weldon to take the serve a little too far as St. X currently doubles Walnut Hills 14, serving 7. Weldon will head to the bench. On the court for Eagles will be DiNardo, along with Griffin Wheatley. Also in the back, Jonah Swift, Evan Tombragle, Parker Moyer, and Aiden Lamoco, who takes the set here. Here's Tombragle, blocked by Jones, struck with justice. He is a brick wall that you never saw coming.
And that was a perfect block there on that right side. Brady Jones was his hands pressed over and down on the net. That ball had nowhere else to go but straight down.
Jones with his second block of the day. Here's Nick Stewart back to serve for a long time this year. Led the team in aces per set as Lamoco has a little mishap there with the antenna as the Bombers lead 16-7. The Walnut Hills side in their all-white and their chopwood jerseys and t-shirts in general have been relatively quiet over the past few moments as the ball's sent back to the Eagles. Here's Tombragle the other way. Stewart sends us high, almost to the scorer's table. No way Meyer and the other Bombers could get to that. Point, Walnut Hills. So here's Lamoco back to serve. Tressler, Harmeyer, Meyer, vroom vroom.
So far, here, the best the analogy I can think of for this game is like a cartoon snowball rolling down a hill. You've seen it in the Looney Tunes how it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the kind of run Cynics is having. They just cannot be stopped. No matter what's in their way, they're just going right over it. They can miss a serve and they come back with 2 more points. That's the kind of resiliency I love seeing right now so far in this game.
Right now they're speeding away with this game like Speedy Gonzalez on a chase. Meanwhile, Kyle Tressler can't be Speedy Gonzalez as that ball eventually hit the scoreboard right here on this side of the court. Nonetheless, Walnut Hills logs the point. So here come the Eagles the other way, looking to make it to the regional finals for the second consecutive year at the regional semis. They're 1-1 in all. Bentley Meyer knocks it down to make it 18, serving 9, and hopefully make it 1-2 in Walnut Hills' record book. If you're wondering why that record is so small, the Eagles only came into existence 5 years ago at the boys volleyball level. 2019, or pardon me, it looks like 2018, they made their first appearance at the regionals, or pardon me, now I'm thinking in retrospect, it was indeed 2019 they made their first appearance there, but did lose to Elder in 3 last year. They did beat Loveland in 3 sets, actually at the Burning Gymnasium, to face off against the Moeller Crusaders at Princeton High School last year. Unfortunately for the Eagles, they did lose to the Crusaders in 4 sets. 19 serving 9 here as the Bombers look to take set number 2 after taking set 1 as Lamoco for Walnut Hills sets it up, pushed back by Wheatley, who's been relatively quiet today. Here's Terrell the other way. Wheatley pushes it back, and he will get the offensive point there. In fact, that is only his third of the day.
And that was just a case where St. X was not covering as well as they should have been on that right side. I think they were expecting a bigger ricochet off, which might have been why Ben Meyer was playing so deep. But regardless, it's always a pain to see those little balls just drop.
Here's Tressler, Harmeyer, Jones, almost got it to go. Great dig there by Swift. Here's Harmeyer, not a Tressler from the back, got a little deflection from the net, but the official on that side says it was in play. Once again, the Bombers doubled the Eagles, 20 serving 10.
Folks, that was just some insane luck to bounce perfectly off that net, off the tape of the net, and straight down the line.
Brady Jones back to serve. Boy, has he been a great addition to the lineup after being a manager for at least the first half of the year. It's Harmeyer out to Kyle Tressler, two-sport athlete on the St. X side playing football. Actually, one of the backups to Brogan Mackay in the fall. Here's Feldkamp the other way, got the deflection, gets it in play. The Walnut Hills squad is not loving it, along with their supporter section. As it turns out right now, the point goes to the Bombers.
Now, here, regardless if that was a tip or not, Walnut Hills has been wildly out of system. The defenders have been sucked up too deep, and then they get way too deep back. They don't have a very consistent defensive location. And honestly, I don't blame them. They're getting attacked in certain different directions. They just don't know where to stand. So really, you're just going to have to transition to where you think about in the midpoint and try to adjust.
Here's Jones to take the serve. Just to add to your point, Anthony, the biggest thing for St. X in that first game against Walnut Hills was they were going either on the left or the right as the Eagles failed to get it over in 3 sets. Nick Richards will take a timeout. Bombers up 22, serving 10, 3 points away from taking set number 2. We'll be back in just a few moments to wrap up this. Welcome back to Varsity Gym here at Walnut Hills High School, back with some ESPX action with St. Xavier Volleyball. The St. Xavier Bombers took set 1, 25-20, and set 2, 25-12 on the court, looking to close this one out in straight sets. I'm Mahirson Hassan, joined by Anthony France, our executive producer and cameraman Zach Waddell rounds out our crew for tonight. Glad that you could join us on this Wednesday. This is Anthony and my final broadcast covering St. Xavier Volleyball. What a ride it has been, folks, ever since that game against the Moeller Crusaders, in which the Bombers won in 4. That was a big matchup, too. Number 2 in state against number 1 in state, that being St. X. This one, St. X comes in at number 4 in the Division I South region. Walnut Hills is number 3, and that's the reason why they will host this one. The winner of this one will face either Mason or Moeller at Princeton High School on Saturday for what should be an exciting regional final. That one set to tip off at 7 o'clock. Jason Griefer and I have the call for that one on ESP Media. You can check out the link on ohioboysvolleyball.com, or you can follow ESP Media on Twitter. We're back underway here from Walnut Hills as the Eagles look to keep their title hopes alive. Charlie Krebs' dig can't get up and over as the Eagles take point 1.
And it's important in this game that St. X not only lets their foot off the gas, but they also cannot underestimate this Walnut Hills team. It's not like they're going to go away game 3. I've seen it happen before where teams will go back and win these next 3 games and come back to take the game in 5. St. X has to be vigilant and keep playing their game. They cannot let up.
DiNardo now to Evan Tombragel, who sends us just wide. It was right in the line judge's corner, and it looks like it did not touch the yellow, mustard yellow, that is, line that you could possibly see on your screen. It was rather interesting to see that. I know the St. Xavier players had some trouble with that early on as Mike Harmeyer takes the serve here. Here's Wheatley with the set, out to Tombragel, who has had some troubles with the net today and can't turn that one into a Walnut Hills point. Rather, it goes to St. X.
It looks like Walnut Hills has been consistently out of system, so their hitters are chasing the ball and either coming down on it too hard, sitting in the net, or coming underneath the ball and letting it launching it long.
Meyer able to break the 2-man wall with a vicious kill there. His 9th of the day as the Bombers lead 3 serving 1. And a gentleman right next to us supporting St. X did tell us that one reason why Walnut Hills could be down so much is because they don't have a pure middle, and especially that net play over there as Meyer wins it against Wheatley to make it 4 serving 1.
The lack of net play really has just been their downfall. I mean, he said it right, and you said it right. If you can't do any of the net, that's half the battle on a volleyball court. I mean, if they're just getting consistently beat on the block, on the attack, there is almost nothing you can do. You can have the most amazing pass in volleyball history, but if it's just going to get blocked or dinked in the net, it doesn't matter.
Harmeyer once again, and this one goes out of play. No deflection there from Walnut Hills, although it looked close. 2 serving 5 as the Eagles get the ball back. And taking the serve here, Evan Tombragel, who's led Walnut Hills today in the kill category with 5 in general, as it's back with the Eagles. Here's Jones, great wrist shot at the net. Moyer can't get Jones as the brick wall comes up yet again with the St. X point.
And folks, that's the kind of middle play that Brady Jones brings to the court. How just momentum shifting that kind of block is on the court, and just a perfect and defining example of St. X's dominance on the net.
And the point goes to Walnut Hills there. If anything, it might have been a rotation error. What you may have not noticed on that play, Bentley Meyer going with the rare float serve, although his signature is usually the top serve with his feet dragging behind. Here he is with yet another float serve. You and I talked about this last year, Anthony, about serves playing a role in momentum as St. X once again tries to be secure. That one there by Jacob Giletto went right into the net. 8 serving 2, St. X leads. If they take this one, they take the match, and you will see them from Princeton High School Saturday night. Meanwhile, another miscommunication error at the net was Tombragel and Wheatley there almost took out a St. X player. And boy, oh boy, points are just falling St. X's way right now.
And here, one big reason Ben Meyer might be doing a float is he just conserves energy. Walnut Hills has just been beating themselves midway to the last game up to now, and all he needs to do is just put a float in. Why risk hitting out with a jump top if your float is just going to put it in, and Walnut Hills is just going to smack in the net and let the ball drop.
And he just picked up an ace there. Timeout taken as St. X is up 10 serving 2. Boy, oh boy, have we just witnessed something special here from Bentley Meyer and the St. Xavier Bombers. As I noted earlier, they face either Mason or Moeller if they can pull this one out. On the other side of the bracket, you have Loveland and Sycamore facing off tomorrow at Elder. Also happening at Elder's Wrestling and Volleyball Gymnasium. Fairfield, fresh off their 4-set win over West Claremont, will face off against the number 1 seed Panthers. The winner of those 2 games will face off in the regional final right before St. X would take on Moeller or Mason at 5:30. As I noted earlier, all of the games in the regional finals, not just here in the South region, but all across the state, and the state finals up at Pickerington Central will be streamed on ESP Media. You can find the link on ohioboysvolleyball.com and also check out ESP Media on the socials. Back at Walnut Hills High School, the Eagles are on their last limb here. They're chopping wood, as they've said many times this year, including the Bombers that they did at the Burning Gymnasium. But right now, St. X is bombarding them at the net and otherwise. Here's Ben Meyer to take the serve. It will be once again another float taken by Tom Bregel, not a Wheatley. Tom Bregel again. Great dig by Stewart. What a day as he had as Jones sends it back. Here's DiNardo. Now to Tom Bregel. Harmeyer this time with the dig. He's put up quite a lot too this year. Second in that category. In fact, Meyer gets a deflection from the front as Moyer, and I believe the other guy there in the mix was Barrett Wade. 11 serving 2.
And Walnut Hills has just been chasing that ball all game long, and even since game 2. Just running around recklessly, and that may look good like they're trying the hardest, but that really indicates something worse, is that they're just out of system. And that is not conducive to any consistency in the offense. And you can see Walnut Hills hitters are on their back feet. They're coming off of little roll shots or little tips, and they just cannot get anything going offensively until they get in system, which so far the Bombers are making it almost impossible.
Tressler there with the kill, able to beat once again a block as Meyer's float serve this time goes a little too short as the Eagles break the Bombers' streak. So back to serve here will be Miles DiNardo for Walnut Hills rather. It's Harmeyer, not a Tressler. Back to net, bumps it back. Right in front of the coach's bench too. Here's Harmeyer, Stewart on a platter. Tressler on the left gets a deflection. Was it against Walnut Hills? Yes, indeed. And the point once again goes to the Bombers, now up 13, serving 3.
What I can't understand there was why Walnut, when Tressler hit the ball over, didn't just put it straight back down on the net. They let them return it and tried to do a 3-set progression. If that ball's that close to the net, just put it straight down. They're just making these little mental errors, and the Bombers, who are just playing flawless volleyball, are just continuing to run.
The flaws continue as Tom Bregel's spike goes well into net. 14 serving 3, the Bombers lead, and number 14 for St. X. Brady Jones will take the serve here. Change made for the Eagles as checking back in, or pardon me, checking in for the first time today will be number 7. Brady Jones avoids the service error there. He'll get take 2 right now. DiNardo, Wheatley playing center in this one, rather interesting as Aiden Lomoko is there in the first. Head coach Nick Richards made the change. Not enough though as the Terrell Terror strikes again.
Walnut Hills has just been giving over free balls for St. X. Those little tips on their back foot are doing them no favors offensively. And really St. X now is just practicing their front row attacks with what Walnut Hills is putting over.
This one sent back by Wade. Harmeyer outside, Tressler in play. Did he get the deflection? No, he didn't. As we see another change made, Barrett Wade will be off, and now in will be Jonah Swift. Walnut Hills once again finds themselves in a deep hole with their season on the line, fresh off a bye week too, as their last game was almost a week ago, May 12th, against Oak Hills, as the Bombers pick up yet another kill. Mike Harmeyer, I believe, this time.
And really the key to this game is just the Walnut block has been non-existent. It's not there. And the back row has just been shredded. However talented the back row is, we've not been able to get to see it because they've had no chance to even attack these balls. Honestly, St. X really just, their dominance of the net, which is one of my key points in before the game. They just run with it, and it's such like the Fenwick game. Unopposed in the net, can't be stopped.
Kyle Tressler with another kill. Boy, oh boy, has he been a big factor on the left side. The St. X student section chants, "We want Ebbs." Of course, looking at Zach Eberly, who has been a fan favorite this year. First year on the varsity level for him after playing JVA last year. As here's Harmeyer to Feldkamp. One ball, throws, I believe it was DiNardo off kilter. Back with St. X, back with Meyer. Can't get the point to go as Wheatley sends it back. Stewart with a great dig. Harmeyer sends it back. Nifty work from a St. X side that has been playing almost flawless today compared to what happened on April 4th. Tressler's spike, though, sent a little too long as Walnut Hills picks up yet another point.
One thing I've really appreciated about St. X today is the lineup consistency. The same guys, 6, 7 guys who counting rotations have been in this game from the game 1 to game 3. Now, there's all sorts of talented players in this team, but you need to set on one consistent lineup if you want to build chemistry to go deep in a postseason run.
And there's Tressler's 5th of the day, only trailing Meyer in the category when it comes to kills. 18 serving 5. And Anthony, when we started this off, as we see a change here, Alex Huber, one of the 5 seniors, will be coming on in favor of Tressler to take the serve here. As we have the chance going on, did you expect anything to go like this?
I honestly was not very much expecting this. I thought we were going to say this was still going to win in 3, but I thought it would be a lot closer, more like that game 1. However, St. X has just gotten their heads. The pendulum of momentum just swung to their side so heavily, and Walnut Hills has really just checked out, not getting anything going at the net. That's very demoralizing. And if your back row is just getting shredded to pieces, I mean, they're not even playing like their season's on the line. It doesn't seem like that really matters to them.
Nick Feldkamp gets his 5th of the day. Feldkamp actually leads the team in hitting percentage this year. And like you noted, Anthony, you have to give props to the guys right in front of us. This student section has been electric as soon as they've walked in and gone to this side of the court. Walnut Hills on the other side has been almost silent there, this team. And this supporter section was big against Elder. They were big against Moeller when they faced off, as Stewart sends this one to the rafters. Meyer collects. Huber just sends it over. Here's Wheatley to set once again to Tom Bregel, who breaks Charlie Krebs there in the middle. The wall is set there by Nick Feldkamp and Mike Carmeyer. Walnut Hills with a rare point.
And that's the kind of passion you kind of think they'd expect to play in this game, as they're just down by such a significant amount. But the Bombers have just been absolutely stifling this game, and it's really been throwing Walnut for a loop.
Talk about seniors, Brian Morgan being one of them, as Feldkamp sends it back, pseudo backdoor. Anthony, you're shooting the arrow. It's 20 serving 16. Palmer's once again dominating.
And that was just a fun backdoor. At this point in the game, you can start having fun, and Nick Feldkamp sure had a lot of fun doing a backdoor. Let me tell you, there's nothing better than getting a sneaky backdoor hit.
You know, I think there was something in that Fenwick win that they had. This team just seemed to click, as we see yet another error for Walnut Hills. Early on in the season, they were doing quite well, but now when we get to the moments that matter the most, senior night, the last games of the year, they make it count. Timeout taken by Walnut Hills. It's 21 serving 6 in favor of St. X. Boy, oh boy, are we in the thick of postseason action here at St. Xavier High School. Of course, back in the day, of course, tomorrow's graduation. Of course, these 5 seniors on St. X's side: Alex Huber, Ryan Morgan, Mike Carmeyer, Nick Feldkamp, and Zach Eberly, both of whom have gotten a lot of chance today from the student section, both made of underclassmen, some JVB, JVA volleyball players, and some regular students as well. Also happening at St. X is lacrosse. They picked up a big win yesterday over Mason, 14-5. Cameron Lewis and I were on the call for that one. We will be back on the call on Friday alongside Zach Rangers for what should be an interesting regional final against the Springboro Panthers. Back on the volleyball court, it is electric.
And I think we hear that Fenwick game was the turning point game going into the playoffs. That was the perfect game they needed, where it was a tough opponent, but they were able to just get some kinks out offensively and really assert themselves in domination offensively. And that's just been carrying forward in these playoffs so far, and it's just something I love to see going through the playoffs. They finally have a pattern, some chemistry on that front row, and it's just been stifling every single team they play.
Here's Nick Stewart to take the serve. And it's an ace! First of the day for Stu, who, boy, oh boy, had a pretty good game last time. Had a kill and a block. On the note of the class of 2022, Zach Everly is the only senior who has yet to make an appearance. Of course, the next time I will talk to you on ESP Media from Princeton High School, I'll be a member of the Long Blue Line. Both of us will become that tomorrow, as it's sure to be a good day. I'll have a preview for that coming out right after this game.
Believe me, it's a shocking and humbling feeling to be graduating tomorrow, and what a way for us to go out here on volleyball, where the Bombers just rolling in this revenge game.
So here's Griffin Wheatley, the junior for Walnut Hills, sent back to Stewart, now to Harmeyer. Morgan! Just out of play.
But I'll tell you, folks, even though it was out, Ryan Morgan was just straight up. He just has that quality like Ben Meyer, where he floats on that ball and almost got just a beautiful line shot.
Here's Wheatley again, top serve for him. Krebs, Harmeyer waits for it. Now out to Morgan again. Did he get the deflection? Yes, he did. First kill of the day for the senior.
And even Walnut, as Zach Everly comes in, they can't even block Ryan Morgan. No matter who Senex puts in there, they're unblockable.
So Zach Everly now in the game. Mike Harmeyer to take the serve. The only senior not on the court. Nick Feldkamp, who played a big role in this one with 5 kills, as Tom Bragel's spike is carried long. 24 serving 8. This for the match. This to send the Bombers back to Princeton High School on Saturday. It's DiNardo, Wheatley, Tom Bragel buries Huber in the dust.
Huber's just in a tough position there in that back left, that back center back position. Sometimes you have to guess, and if you're middle and get the block, it's really hard to get that dig.
Once again, for all the marbles, and to avenge a loss, Bombers were 2-5 in postseason action whenever they faced a team that they have lost. Everly tried to get the game-winning kill, but the point will go to Walnut. Bombers still just 1 point away from making that total 3-5 when facing a team that beat them in the regular season at the Burning Gymnasium in the playoffs. Once again, it's Tom Bragel back to serve, 10 serving 24. Stewart, now to Harmeyer. Eberly again in play, just out.
And now here, if I'm a betting man, I believe Zach Everly is going to get a third chance to put this one away. He wants it bad. The players want it bad. I want it bad. Go Zach Everly.
Let's see if your JVB teammate back in 2019 can do it, Anthony. Harmeyer, Everly, got it this time! That will do it. Senex is victorious. Revenge has been served. Final score here from Walnut Hills. The Bombers win it 3-0, 25-20, 25-12, 25-11, as the Bombers student section has run onto the court, singing the goodbye song to what has been a Walnut Hills side. They thought they were going to be historic. They got the number 3 seed, their highest in their program history. A young one too, 5 years, but it's the veterans, ones that have been around for so long. St. Xavier High School to get the win today. An emphatic one too, as they go on. You said this in the opening, Anthony, before we went on. This was a stepping stone game, a building block game for St. X. If they want to make it to state, try to get their second state title in 3 seasons, they had to get a win in this one today, show their confidence. Boy, did they do that.
They had to face their demons, and I think this was a game that they were really sat in the back of their minds. St. X does not like to be beaten at home, but they really don't like to be beaten home by a non-GCL team. And I think that loss was very ugly, and it's in the back of mind for all of them. And I think they played with just some rage today, coming down, playing perfect volleyball, and leaving really no doubt that they were the better team. I have to give props, though, to Walnut Hills. Seeing teams that are not in the GCL South develop a boys volleyball program is just generally good for the sport. And I like to see that there's boys volleyball sprouting up around the city of Cincinnati, so that there is non-GCL competitiveness around the greater Cincinnati area. However, these St. Xavier Bombers are a special group of guys, and they came back, faced their demon, and now they're ready for either the Comets or the Crusaders in that regional final.
Yes, indeed. That one will be Saturday at 7 o'clock Eastern from Princeton High School. As I noted earlier, Jason Griefer and I have the call on ESP Media for what should be an interesting one, especially if it's Moeller, as the Bombers picked up 2 wins, one at the Brisbane Family Center, one in the Centerville tournament, but did drop that one at home to the guys on Montgomery Road. For now, the Bombers are victorious as they have picked up the win here at Walnut Hills High School, and turning our action and attention away from what's on the court. As I said earlier, this is our last volleyball broadcast on ESPX this year. ESP Media and OHS BVA Network will take the direction here. As I've said earlier, I'm Mahir Sinhasan, joined by Anthony France. What a pleasure it has been calling volleyball games here on ESPX the last 2 years. Of course, I will be back on Friday with Zach Rengers and Cameron Lewis for lacrosse as they go to the regional finals. Anthony, this is the last game for you.
It's been an emotional and amazing ride here on ESPX that gave me an opportunity to still be a part of the volleyball program after I chose not to play my junior year. And it's just been amazing, been able to do these games with you here. And thank you, Zach and Miss Schulte, for giving me this legendary opportunity and experience I'll just never forget at St. X, and something I'm definitely be thinking about when I get my diploma tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. You'll be headed to University of Kentucky. Of course, headed your separate ways. One of the 9 guys going there. I'll be headed out to Arizona State. Like I said earlier, you're not seeing the last of me, but Anthony, what a pleasure it has been, man.
Thank you.
You have made ESPX volleyball what it has been today. I remember coming in. I tried out in 2019 for the JVB team. Didn't make it. You come in, of course, with all of your volleyball knowledge, playing in grade school. I didn't know much about the sport. You taught me a lot about this. Thank you.
You are no problem, and you're just a fantastic broadcaster, a beautiful catalyst, the transitions, and you just have so much ahead of you. You have a voice like honey, and I just think you have great things ahead of you here.
Thank you, Anthony. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be working beside you, man.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck at Kentucky. And thank you for all of you for tuning in, not just tonight, but all year long in what has been a great season as the Bombers continue on to the regional finals. Will face either Mason or Moeller in that regional final on Saturday from Princeton High School. But for now, as the crowd filters onto the court and file out, we will say goodbye too. From our executive producer and cameraman Zach Waddell and my analyst Anthony France, I'm Mihir Sanasan. It has been an honor and privilege to call volleyball games right here on ESPX. So long, goodbye, stay safe, and as always, go Bombers.